Remembered for his kind spirit, humility and eagerness to serve, the life of the late Constable Donay Phillips was commemorated in Cape Town today by family, friends and colleagues following his death at New Somerset Hospital. The late officer succumbed to his wounds on Sunday after having been shot while trying to break up an altercation. eNCA reporter Ronald Masinda was at the memorial earlier. Let's go live to him now just to look at what came out of it and how people were paying tribute to Constable Phillips. Ronald, how was the constable remembered?
Good afternoon, Bradan. Well, he was revered by his colleagues as a dedicated police officer and a man who served the SAPS very well during his tenure. He served the SAPS from 2016 until he passed on last week. But more importantly, what we heard earlier is that he was also a loving family man, a person who respected his family, as well as a person who loved his fiancée. He got engaged earlier this year and was expected to get married later this year. But many people were deeply saddened, Bradan. We heard from several of his ex-colleagues, and this is what they had to say.
He was a man of action and loved his job. In most cases, it was just mostly with me and him at first at the station when our boss is not there. He was always very punctual. He was first, he was before everyone. I would more often come up just after him, and I would find him at the station.
He worked with us for the last year and a half. He never once let us down. He was extremely professional, hardworking and a team player. Not only was he reliable, but also a true friend. Philip, as we called him, was always on time. Always willing to pick us up at the civic centre and railway bus stops. And as we know, Philly had a deep love for Arsenal Soccer Club.
He was a humble person, always willing to learn and listen. We played a few friendlies together, I think 1 or 2, but we didn't have enough time playing together. But he was a right winger, very pacey. He was a disciplined person. I also know Constable Phillips from George because we started this career together. Because I started also in George. We went to Bishop Levels together. That was a special guy.
Now, what are the police saying about their investigation into this tragedy?
Well, the police are saying that investigations are still ongoing, and there are concerns, Bradan, that these murders could have been avoided. What we heard during this case is that the alleged shooter, Mr. Jean-Paul Malgas, did have a history of violence. What we also know from the conversation I had with Lieutenant General Thembisile Patekile is that Mr. Malgas served the South African Police Service from 2002 to 2007. He was axed back in 2007 for corruption. But what we also have been hearing, Praten, is that leading up to these murders at the New Somerset Hospital is that Mr. Malgas suffered from severe depression. It is alleged that he stabbed one police officer in Vredenburg, and then he was also shot in the leg. And then this Mr. Malgas then was sent to the new hospital, the New Somerset Hospital, where he went for treatment. And that is when things just went out of control. We have been told that a scuffle broke out between the Malgas and the deceased Constable Phillips. And then Mr. Malgas took the gun from Constable Phillips and shot him before shooting the 2 other patients at the hospital. But as we've heard, investigations are still ongoing. But what we can also determine is that during the course of the week, when Malgas appeared for the first time in court, he abandoned bail. And we also heard from his lawyer that he was suicidal and that he suffered from mental health. But what we also heard from Thembisile Patekile is that they will get to the bottom of this. Investigations are still ongoing as to whether or not this matter could have been avoided. This is what Themisile Patekile, the Provincial Police Commissioner, had to say.
We know the shooter was an ex-policeman who received similar training as the Philly, as we normally call him, Constable Philip, late Constable Philip, was dismissed between 2007 to 2008. There were 9 for corruption in the West Coast. So from there he was unemployed, but according to records we have, has had several criminal cases that were reported, or he was arrested for. Some of them, they include violent cases like assaults and domestic violence to his ex-boyfriend.
This was then Cape Police Commissioner Patekile there, ending that update by Ronald Masinda.